Hi everyone. I wanted to go ahead and make a video going over some of the stuff that will be relevant this week, some things that might be helpful. And so I'm going to get right to it. You might have noticed I've been adding more content to our site. So now we have our romantic era is pretty filled in. I'm still need to post those discussion board posts, but those will be up soon. And you can see now that we have the readings posted though, if you want to go ahead and start reading. I also added our bingo card for this era. If you want to go ahead and get started on that. I'm not super picky, and I'll actually pull this up. Um, I went ahead and made something on Canva because I wanted it to look nice and it seemed like the easiest way to do it. And then I realized, I'm not actually sure if this is the easiest way to fill this out. So I am really okay with however you want to go about filling it out. If you want to have a separate thing and you're just using it as a guide, like a separate document, that's totally fine. If you want to print it out and then just take a picture and post that for the assignment, whatever you want to do. I'm mostly just interested in making sure that you're keeping track of things, that you're kind of keeping some sort of study guide maintained so that once the exams come up, you'll be able to do those successfully. And then that way you can kind of also figure out if there's any kind of gaps. If you missed something, if you're like, man, I cannot find a closet drama. When did we read that? Then that would be a good time to ask around, ask me, and we can make sure that you have everything filled in and that you're not going to have any gaps of knowledge once exams come up and everything. But yeah, we can look at this too, but I kept it as simple as I could. I also left some squares open in case there's things that you would want to add to the study guide yourself. I mean, plus, who knows? I probably forgot stuff. I tried to be as thorough as possible, went over my notes, but you never know. So here it is. Each of these squares has a different trait of the era, and so we have things like reverence of the natural world, revolutionary ideas, Gothic and supernatural. Some of these are going to be more descriptive of form, like blank verse or novel. But this can just help in several different ways to make sure that you're able to differentiate between the texts. We're not reading a ton this semester, mostly just because I want to keep it possible for us to cover all of these years that we have to cover for the survey. And so hopefully that will also help. But we are going to have to read a lot just to make sure that we're thorough, right? So this way you can differentiate between the different texts and you don't have to just have like a perfect memory, right? Okay. The other thing I wanted to show you is that we have our discussion for this week posted, and our focus for this week is Romantic era history. So just kind of thinking about what was going on at the time, what are the major influences in terms of political events or historical events, and then what is the political writing going on at the time that's kind of responding to that history and to that context. I think this is just really helpful at helping us get a sense of where we are in time and place. Um, and anyway, and also I think these are just some of the best pieces that were written at the time. So I have a couple strategies I recommend. One is I'd recommend thinking of kind of what is the theme of the week. What are some of the things that we're talking about as a class? So in terms of like, for example, if you're talking about Mary Prince's writing, maybe you could think a little bit about how her writing corresponds with like romantic era traits, potentially even on the bingo card. Or if you want, you can focus more on like how she relates to the other writers that we're discussing, or I mean, like kind of just you want to try and put it in context as much as you can, because what we're doing when we're writing about literature is we're trying to communicate in ways that would make sense to people who maybe haven't read the text. And so if we compare to other writers, then that's going to help them navigate that, situate that in their mind with what you're talking about. And it's also just going to help you make connections yourself, right? The other thing is I want you to respond to the text, or I mean, refer to the text in your writing as much as you can. This isn't going to be something you absolutely like need to do, every sentence or something. And it's not something I'm necessarily going to take off points for, right? I really just want to make sure that you're getting comfortable referencing the text, citing it, taking quotes from it, navigating it, finding passages that you think are interesting. All of that's really important to studying language and literature and history. So let's get some practice with that. These are my tips, but I've already seen people are posting some cool stuff. So, go ahead and write what you think is interesting. I went ahead and made like the longest discussion board post of all time because what I wanted to do was give you a sense of like what the test questions might look like and give you a sense of like in general what test questions and questions about literature, prompts about literature, the kinds of things people talk about when they talk about literature might look like. Not that I'm the only person who knows answers to that, right? I'm sure you all have taken other classes and kind of know what these look like, but I just wanted to give you a little bit more guidance, especially so you get a sense of kind of what I'm like as a professor, like what kinds of questions I tend to ask, so you don't feel like you're kind of lost and then worrying about tests. Um, so these are some of the prompts that I have for us. What I'm trying to do is break them up as much as possible by subject, by the type of question, so that it's not as overwhelming. But what I don't want you to do is feel like you have to write a super long response or something that's like incorporating a ton of different elements in order to get a good grade on this post. I really just wanted to give you suggestions. So take from it what you will. This is going to be a completion-based grade on, did you write 200 words on the subject? Did you respond to a student's post? What I'm really hoping that means then is that people can write about what they're interested in, and then we can have these dynamic conversations like we might have in a literature classroom, right, if we were in person. But I think we can do that just as well in a discussion board post, as long as it's something that we're interested in doing. So I'm very interested in doing that, and I hope that you are too. It sounds like it. And so this is just an opportunity. I don't want you to feel too much pressure in terms of what my expectations are for content. Um, okay. I think that's what I wanted to talk about here. I'm going to make another video going over the slides for this week, which are pretty text heavy, so you might be able to just read those yourself. But if you want to go ahead and get, my feedback, I'm going to make as short as possible video as I can. So hopefully that will be helpful as well. All right. Have a great week.